is episode 561 on the 24th of August 2022. The final match of the India-Zimbabwe ODI, that is game number 3. So I would have wanted at least 5-6 games, but that's the obsession. 3 games is enough because of cramped schedule and those domestic T20 tournaments taking at least 6 months out of a calendar and almost ending an athlete's career, which we'll talk about later. But the 3 games that happened in Zimbabwe were brilliant. It did not have the usual suspects, but it had the individuals who would be called usual suspects by the end of 2030. You would see the names of these individuals who are right now on the periphery, and as the current lot begins to get into that domain of goodbyes, golden handshakes, and saying that okay, I have been doing this for a better part of 1.5 decades, it's time to move on and pass the baton to the others. But the discussion around that will get complex. But let's discuss ODI Game 3. India scored 8 for 289, which in the era of teams scoring over 350 and close to 400 may have looked a juvenile score and not an exactly good score. But you cannot score 500 in every game, and 500 in every game is also a pipe dream, and it doesn't happen. So let's not even go there. 289 for 8, perfect score in this scenario. It doesn't mean that just because you have scored 290 and you need just under 6 runs per over to win the match, it will be easy. Whether it's in Zimbabwe, New Zealand, Australia, these games can be more exciting than a game where a team scores 400, the other one scores 100, and there's a vast difference between the two teams in terms of resources. Let's not get into the resources debate. Let's discuss this game. It was a boxing match with each side producing punches and counter punches. So every time it looked like Zimbabwe were in a situation where they would not win, their batters came up with the counter punches. Every time it looked like India were falling short or not bowling the way they should, the Indian bowlers came up with the counter punches and eliminated the batters. So this thing went on and on till the last over, and in the end it was more about the nervousness and a bit of inexperience that cost Zimbabwe the match. But at the end of the day, they lost 3-0. But you can say they have a lot to take from this particular tournament, and a lot of things can happen. So let's be happy about that. But this series and the West Indies series is an answer to those who question the ODI format, including an elite commentator who's losing that status because he's spending too much time with the discards and rejects, and his mind is twisting and turning into being a very negative individual and thinking all kinds of nonsense and not focusing on what he has been doing over the past 3 decades, that is being an elite level commentator. So we should go back to it. But those who question the ODI format, well, we will see among all the neurotic debate that is happening, can shut their gob and cut the tackle on this. And this means that with the 2023 World Cup just over 16 months away, an open option, that is pool of 20 backups around pool of 20 regulars. But since we are talking about sports athletes, we presume that sports athletes are forever happy because they get all the adulation, facilitation, they are in front of a televised audience. But do you know that even sports athletes have a fear? They have a fear of the bully. And what can this bully be? So what is the biggest fear for a sports athlete? There are many. But what they don't fear is winning or losing a match. That's superficial, not injuries, because that's happenstance. They know that since I'm a sports athlete, I will go through a phase when I will be injured. They are well aware of being injured. They are well aware of moments where they may perform at their best. but they may end up short, which means in medal matches they may end up with silver, or it could be a situation where they may end up with at the fourth position. They may not get the recognition, but they know they have done everything. They want recognition, but we all know how the recognition factor of a sports athlete works. What fears them the most is the relationship with the governing body. In this case, the sports federations, whether it's the wrestling federation or the cricket board, hockey board, cycling, Olympic Association, weightlifting, and every other sport. They fear the relationship with that because these bodies and the individuals governing them can sometimes be bullies. How are they bullies? First of all, they have to be on good terms, which means even if they are unhappy with the running of the organization, or they're unhappy with something, the way the selection trials have taken place, or something, or if they're not getting the facilities at the training center or at the rehabilitation center, if they are in an injury mode, they cannot have a public outcry, which means they cannot go on pseudo media or PPED media and say openly that this organization is not fitting in height. A sport athlete from boxing did that, but since that was in the middle of the tournament, the body must have allowed them to do what the athlete said. But I'm sure that athlete is going to face a lot of big bats and won the tournament, and the athlete's relationship with the governing body must have gone sour. We don't know, but that's exactly what must have happened. This athlete did go public about certain things they were not happy with or not getting a coach, and the governing body complied because it was in the middle of the tournament and didn't want any kind of distractions. So that way the athlete was able to get what the athlete wanted, but it doesn't happen often. And I'm sure the members of that governing body must be in conversation with that athlete about the way he got all that drama going. I'm not going to blame the athlete or the governing body, but this is what the athletes fear. They cannot have a public outcry in general whether they're unhappy with the paycheck, unhappy with whatever services. Even if they're happy, they cannot be very obvious about it because it's obvious. If they're getting a good paycheck, they cannot say, oh, I've got a good paycheck. That's the governing body's decision to announce that if certain athletes are under certain contracts, what kind of paychecks will they receive or what kind of help will they receive. If the athletes go for the public outcry or do something which is harmful to the relationship between the two, then they can bid goodbye to their career. And in this case, let's talk about the Indian Cricket Board. Other federations, other sports bodies are also bullies. They have had a share of relationship with the athletes, but the Indian Cricket Board is a unique case scenario. It is the Shahenshah of bullies. And how does that work? It runs things with an iron hand, which means no room for rebellion. And how does it work? It works in a very clever manner. It has a very interesting relationship with its employees or sports athletes or the cricketers. The players and the employees are overindulged and spoon-fed. Once that happens, no athlete will ever complain. And in return, they want complete and unwavering loyalty, obedience, and allegiance. Means at no point can they say, I'm unhappy with the Indian Cricket Board for any reason, because the Indian Cricket Board will say, we are overindulging you, we are spoon feeding you, we are taking care of your every need, like an overindulging parent does. And let's understand one more thing. Sports athletes do not represent the country directly. they are representative of the governing bodies and not the country. When you look at the jersey of any of these organizations, any of these sports athletes, they have the logo of that organization at one corner, couple of sponsors, and of course the name of the country, because that's obvious. But then the logo is very important. You also see the logo, especially in cricket, where you see the scorecard graphic where the logo is there. But when you see it shows India versus Australia, you will see the Indian Cricket Board logo versus the Australian Cricket Board logo. That is not going away. So sports athletes anywhere in the world are representatives of the governing bodies and not the country directly. And why? Because the paychecks come from the governing body. These governing body arrange lodging, accommodation, jerseys, coaches, so they do everything for the sports athlete they are expected to do. So yes, that's why they expect complete, unwavering loyalty, obedience and allegiance, because they would say we are doing so much for you. Can you not thank us for that by not going public with your issues? If you have issues, you can come to us in private and we have a solution to it. And that's the expectation, and that's what the bully is. The fear of the bully is because the sports athlete, however they may be popular and celebrities, eventually they are nothing more than employees of the governing body. And the Indian Cricket Board, as I said, is a very special case scenario. It has an ego. It prevents the Indian players to participate in rival T20 domestic tournaments. It has a vice-like grip on this. It will not allow any of these players to play in any of the rival tournaments. They don't want to split the importance that the Indian T20 domestic World Cup has gained. So it will want for the players to play here, but Indian players not to play as overseas players in other tournaments, and they have been doing this for a better part of 15 years. It has a vice-like grip on this situation, and it's not going to let go. And that's something we have to understand. And that's been going on for years. Even with the emergence of various T20 domestic tournaments, we have seen that every country now has one. Our neighboring countries have, all our neighboring countries have at least one each. Then the Middle East, UAE, is going to start. Australia's tournament is successful. A lot of people say that the Australian tournament is not successful. It doesn't have the marquee players. It really doesn't matter. For me, the Australian tournament has all the quality, even if it doesn't have the kind of support that the pseudo media or the people give. I still think the Australian tournament is at the top, even if you hear scripted comments from commentators and other involved individuals saying the Indian one is at the top. Well, I'm not going to say that even if you hand me a paycheck with unlimited zeros. I've seen the Australian one, I've seen the Indian one, I've seen the one of a neighboring country. The one of a neighboring country is poorly organized, so let's not even go there. Australian one has its issues. It may not be able to give a paycheck with unlimited zeros to its players or employees, but that's not the thing. That's not the important thing. It has discipline, it has quality, and there's something about it which the Indian one cannot emulate. That's why the Indian one will be at number 2 or number 3, and the Australian one will forever, for me, be at number 1. It doesn't mean that because I'm an Indian, I should say that the Indian one should be at number 1. I do not get hysterical like that. I do not promote such pseudo-nationalism, nor will I ever do it. But imagine if the Indian players wanted to take a break from fatigue comes in. Maybe it starts at 8 p.m., goes on till 1 a.m. next day. There's no discipline in terms of finishing the matches on time, finishing the innings on time. There is no discipline regarding that. A lot of time is wasted in things like strategic timeout and too long breaks. That's something they have to take care of. That's something the technical committee has to relook, but we all know they don't care about this. But imagine if the Indian athletes, the Indian players, decide to take a break or skip this tournament. It will lead to controversies which will be bigger than the biggest controversies we've ever seen. It will be a controversy if any of these players, if they are not injured or unwell, say, I want to skip this tournament. This is not going to happen. But let's look at this in a hypothetical scenario that if this happens, what will happen further? First of all, it won't be acceptable by the governing body, that is Indian Cricket Board will be unhappy. The managers of these teams will be unhappy. I do not endorse the team franchisee, so I won't use the term franchisee. The managers of these domestic teams will be unhappy. The fanatics will be unhappy that I came and bought tickets to watch certain players and they decided to skip. No. The BPEDM Moron media will also start adding its ideas to the controversy. How can they skip? How can they skip a 70-day tournament? They cannot skip. Or whatever reason they will come up with, which is not important right now, but it will lead to things. It will lead to controversies, which will be an unnecessary controversy, but it will be there. The managers of these teams are apathetic. Even in the World Cup, they started in a week or two, which happened with the T20 or World Cup 3 years ago. With a week or two for the domestic tournament to end, the players are fatigued. They know they have to represent their country and they want a break from a couple of matches. These managers will be indifferent. They will say, I don't care if the World Cup starts tomorrow and you have to reach the destination. You will play all the 14-15 matches of this tournament unless it's a really bad situation and you cannot play. But if you're saying that you need to skip the tournament, skip a game on account of a World Cup, you don't care about the World Cup. You care about this tournament and you care about the moolah and the investment coming from it. So you cannot skip the tournament. They believe they have paid a huge amount, so they have the right to cash in, they have the right to exploit these athletes. See, that's the biggest dilemma. You cannot skip. And that's something that really bothers me. 50-year World Cup was managed because you had a committee of arrogance who coaxed the tournament organizers to give at least a 15-day break between when the tournament ended and when the World Cup started. So the committee of arrogance was able to help the athletes, but if this committee of arrogance was not there, this 15-day break wouldn't have been there. That's something that needs to be seen. Luckily, there is no World Cup which is clashing with this tournament. But I think the 70-day tournament is far too long. And one day there will be a situation where this will go on for the entire year. That's how greedy both the sides are. The managers, the teams, the governing bodies and the players are mindless victims of this. They have to play the games. 20 games a year, 25 games a year, it may become that way. You never know. And that's the thing that needs to be taken care of or there will be trouble. Even if the player is limping on one leg and is not clear to compete, these managers will push the players beyond the limit. And what other fear the athletes have? Sports athlete will always fear this. What will happen post the retirement. They're all alone post-retirement with the protective hand no longer available of the governing body unless
It's 9:30.
they are recruited as coaches, administrators, and commentators, sports athletes post-retirement, or of course brand ambassadors. Most sports athletes do not get this luxury. Only 5% will be recruited as coaches, administrators, commentators, or brand ambassadors. But the remaining individuals will always have this fear that they no longer have the protected hand and the paycheck that was coming so steadily by the governing bodies. This will always be a fear. Post-retirement, every athlete has a fear. That's why some athletes keep on stretching because they don't know what will happen once they're officially done. In the end, the Indian Cricket Board, the big bully, always wins because they think they have the treasury to throw money at the athletes. They can treat these athletes any way they want. They expect complete, unwavering loyalty and allegiance, and they want the athletes not to have public outcry over any issue, and they expect the athletes to play the Indian T20 Domestic World Cup and not miss a single game unless it's a situation where they cannot play. They have to play all the games, even if it leads to fatigue. The body doesn't care. The managers of these teams, they have never ever cared. They have a apathetic attitude.